Hello, everybody. I'm Paul Ryden. I think it's fair to say that the time period when you saw your very first baseball game and were introduced to Major League Baseball, that represents the sport's golden age. I saw my first game in 1962, and if I had my way, every team would wear those same uniforms. Umpires would wear suits, and pitchers would pitch complete games. Alas, the game has changed, some for the better, some for the worse, but there's one thing that hasn't changed, and it's been always a game full of colorful characters. Our guest, CarlSBirk, is a longtime baseball fan who preserved the stories of the game's characters in his latest book, Baseball's Three Ring Circus, Stories of the Colorful Characters of Baseball. Welcome, Carl. How do you
I'm
do?
glad to be here.
Yeah, and now I said that's your latest book, but you've got two books out.
Right. That's actually the first one. I have a sequel out, which is Baseball's Big Top.
Right. Right. Yeah, I
And
saw that.
right, it became, or what happened was I made so many chapters for the first book, we had to split it in half.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
But that's good. Well, there's plenty of stuff to write about. Now, I bet you can recall your very first baseball game you went to, first major league game.
Yes. August 13th, 1968,
And the
Milwaukee
birthday.
County Stadium, the Boston Red Sox against the Chicago White Sox.
Now, that's interesting. Why were the Red Sox and White Sox playing at County Stadium in Milwaukee?
Because the White Sox took advantage of when the Milwaukee Braves moved to Atlanta
Uh-huh.
and decided to play 13 home games until another team was falling for Milwaukee.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. What made you fall in love with the game in the first place?
Well, what made me fall in love with the game was my father or my grandfather actually making me watch Braves games and saying, "Who do you want to win?" And there's my favorite player, Joe Alcott. And I'm going, "Well, that's great because I like that guy, Eddie Matthews."
Uh-huh.
He says, "Why do you like him?" "I don't know. He swings good." And I was 4 years old at the time. That's where I really got stuck on it.
Yeah.
Or maybe when I opened my first uh, baseball cards at 6, I opened up and saw Ron Fairley, first baseman for the Los Angeles Dodgers,
Number six.
number 6. I don't know what I just got hooked on it, and it's been my life basically from or since then until now.
Yeah. I got to see Mays, Aaron, Clemente in their prime, even Stan Musial at the end of his career, but you were drawn to the more colorful characters, and that's what you put in your book. What drew you to the more colorful characters?
Well, you see the mainstream guys, and everyone go, "Oh, no!" It's the other ones, the guys who keep the game going, keep it fun for people. Bob Uecker, you know, I thought it was great with Rube Waddell. How many baseball players in the offseason would wrestle alligators?
Yeah. Now you started your book with Rube Waddell.
Right.
Why Rube?
Well, let's face it, he was the first hero or the first major star of baseball.
Uh,
And the more I read on him, the more I go, oh, he has to be the first one. He wouldn't warm up. They would have to find him playing marbles with kids under the stands or selling hot dogs to people instead of warming up. In the minor leagues, he would come in and tear off his clothes and put his uniform on as he entered through the grandstands, eating hot dogs and drinking beer.
Good grief.
How could you not like that? And then he died a hero. He
Oh,
died actually by sandbagging, I believe it was Hicksville, Kentucky, as the Mississippi River rose, and he caught pneumonia.
hmm.
He was the only person making the sandbags for the town.
Now you tell a story in your book about him being kidnapped at gunpoint. Tell that story.
Well, he was pitching in, I believe it was Los Angeles at the time, and Connie Back really needed a pitcher bad. And so he had to send two Pinkertons out to California to kidnap him to bring him back to pitch for Philadelphia.
Good grief. Well, there was a time also when he pitched against his own team. What was that all about? Was that when he was in
He was in college, but
college?
never went to a class.
Well, I'm not surprised by that.
Right. They would just pay him $1 a game. And once again, he was kidnapped there by the other team. And they say, hey, we'll pay you $1 if you pitch for us. And so he pitched for them and beat his own team, even though he had never lost a game for his actual team.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy. How do you think Rube would survive in today's social media uh, environment?
Oh,
He'd be worse than Dennis Rodman.
I think he'd be a superstar. He's just that crazy. He'd
Or
probably
in
be doing
jail.
WWE and all those other things.
Uh,
Uh,
w-
what
w-
really caught me on some of these though was actually Dicky Kerr. Dicky Kerr, because at, I work as guest services for the Sugarland Space Cowboys, the Astros
mhm,
AAA team, and
right.
right next to my desk for many years was a statue of Dicky Kerr. I go, I
Who's
had to
Dicky
find out who.
Kerr for our uninitiated?
Well,
Who's
that's right.
Dicky Kerr?
Okay, Dicky Kerr was a left-handed pitcher for the Chicago White Sox in 1919. He was the pitcher who messed up the Black Sox scandal because he won his two games,
Oh,
which they claim were the two greatest pitching performances in World Series history because he was pitching with seven of his teammates playing against him.
yeah, right.
And then so after baseball, because 3 years later, he had to leave because of uh, Comiskey would not pay him
Mm,
because he was in the Black Sox team, even though he was a clean Sox. And so in 1940, he became a manager for the St. Louis Cardinals Jacksonville team. And he had a young pitcher there who, when he wasn't pitching, was playing outfield, sort of like Otani
yeah.
and that stuff. And what happened was his pitcher broke his arm, thus ruining his pitching career. He says, "You don't need that. You hit as many home runs as you pitch." And the guy was Stan Musial.
Oh, no kidding.
He's the man who talked Stan Musial into becoming an outfielder and becoming a Hall of Famer.
Good grief. No kidding. I didn't know that.
And
Huh.
well, I thought it was interesting because he was actually at the time that I found all this out, his house was right down the street because his house Stan Musial bought for him as a thank you.
Huh.
And now but then I started looking into his statue, and his statue started out as outside the Astrodome, paid for by the people of Houston, presented by Stan Musial.
Hmm.
And when the Astrodome closed down, it moved to Finger Furniture, where they had the Baseball Hall of Fame for Houston there, because that's where Buff Stadium was. And when that closed down, it ended up at Constellation Field.
Hmm.
Now it's at the former owner's house in front as a, I guess, a lawn jockey.
Well, this book really sort of started off after you moved to Texas. You got an interest in minor league baseball, as you said. You've done some work with them, and you took notes on what you saw. Do you still take notes on what you see?
I Let's see. I take notes on everything. I bring I bring pads everywhere. I actually we had a store down or just down the street from me that every Saturday it was a baseball card store.
Uh-huh.
Every Saturday we go there and it's like a general store. We just go there and talk about stories that we had heard and all that. And if I heard something interesting, I'd write it down and start researching on that.
Right.
Or when I was a kid, it was baseball digest, sporting news.
Right.
That's how I had things like the Ozzie Smith putting a want ad in the newspaper because he couldn't make it on his salary as a baseball player.
Isn't that something?
That kind of stuff. So, and it just all collected. And finally, Deacon Jones, a former major league ball player, suggested you might as well write these things, or you need to make a book out of this.
Yeah.
And I said, well, us see. This guy, Deacon Jones, was the last professional baseball player to hit 400. He hit 410 for the Dubuque Packers in 1958. And I said, man, if he thinks I should write something, I did.
Yeah.
As I said, it turned out to be one book, which split up into two, and there's another one coming out probably in next July
Oh, great.
called Baseball Sideshow.
Excellent. Well, I can
And
tell
it
by the
has the
table of
weird guys.
contents.
That one has like, okay, I've met Charlie Kerfeld.
Oh yeah, sure. I remember him.
See, I used to work at the Astrodome as their trailer, selling stuff outside the west entrance. But they had so much suntan lotion back then that I would be selling suntan lotion for the Astrodome.
Boy, that's
But
like selling ice
that,
to an Eskimo.
right, but hey, they wanted me to do it. I did it. Well, Charlie Kerfel, I met at while he was being the lifeguard at his local pool
Hmm.
because he just didn't want to sit around, so he'd be the lifeguard. I think he wanted to see the women, but
Yeah,
hey,
well.
that's okay. You know, he's a baseball player, and so I've been meeting all these guys so often. But then again, I was the parking lot rat at County Stadium, going
Mhm.
around and catching, or and I don't know if I should. I met a lot of Major League Baseball players that were of interest.
Mhm.
I remember since we knew where it's the only place I ever met Nolan Ryan.
Really?
Yes, it was
Even though you work for the Astros and or worked at
right, but
Astrodome, you know.
yeah, but the only place I met him, that's because I was waiting outside after an Angels game, and he said, he said, son, I never do this, but I'll sign your autograph since it's snowing outside and you're the only one here. You deserve to get it. And so he signed my autograph. That's the only time I ever really met him.
Well, you told great stories in the book about being in that parking lot and talk about the bird. I mean, you go through the table of
All
contents, you
right.
can tell who you're talking about. The Mark Fidrich, the bird. Tell
Mark
us
Fidrich.
the story about seeing him in the
Okay.
parking
Mark Fidrich, I thought was the most wholesome player you could ever want. He was so innocent. And so we're there getting our autographs and that, and the bus takes off, and all of a sudden we look and here the bus starts turning around and made an entire circle around, came back, and Mark comes jumping out because he had forgot to sign this little girl's or this little girl's ball, and he didn't want to upset anybody.
lot.
Now,
That's something.
that is what baseball players used to be.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there was also a story about running into Gorman Thomas, was it?
Well,
With the
well,
Brewers?
We knew Gorman's van.
Uh-huh.
And we knew all the players. We were talking to Sal Bando and them all the time. And we run up to Gorman's van, and he has Bernie Carbo, and this young kid is sitting in the back seat. He says, kid, I'm supposed to teach you about professional baseball. Here it is. Sign for all your fans. And then he pushed him out of the van. And here's this young kid signing all his. I was the first one there. I gave him my index card. He signed it, and I turned around and said, "Who's Robin Yount?"
Now in
And
the Hall of Fame.
now in the Hall of Fame. What played 21 years for the Brewers,
Yeah.
and but then again, I also met a gentleman. I met Rico Cardi, who actually swore at me
Oh no, in Spanish or in English?
in English, and
Oh.
the guy behind us says, "Don't worry." He struck out 5 times today against the Brewers. So yes, you can you just meet people like that.
Well, you
But
know that. Go
go ahead,
ahead.
Paul.
Well, no, I was just going to say that there's so many colorful characters who came by it organically. What do you think of the teams like the Savannah Bananas who do their antics, pre-planned and all that? It's still
Oh,
colorful.
yeah, I worked for him for 4 days. Uh, it's bringing more interest back into the game.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, it's sort of like when Pete Maravich joined or went into the NBA,
yeah,
and the way he made moves that no one else had ever made. That's what the Savannah Bananas are.
yeah, yeah.
And in fact, we talked to them. We actually suggested to them because they were only doing minor league ball parks at the time. We told them go to the or try Minute Maid next year. I bet you'll sell it out for one day.
Uh-huh.
And they
Yeah,
said, we don't think so. And they did. The
really.
following year, they sold out. I mean, they sold their tickets in 48 hours.
Well, they're pretty much the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. That's always
Right.
exciting. That's always entertaining.
Yes. Sort of like the Indiana or Indianapolis Clowns used to be,
Right, right.
the Negro League.
Yeah,
But they
Hank
actually,
Aaron.
right. But they actually also worked with the Globetrotters for the routines.
Mm, yeah. Well, plenty of
Uh,
stories about baseball in this book. The book is called, let's see if I can remember the name of the Baseball's Three Ring Circus. Stories of the colorful characters of baseball, seen here. And then Baseball's
yeah.
Big Top is the other one, seen here. CarlSBirk is the author and a big baseball fan. And if you are a baseball fan, I would highly recommend getting that book, both of them, and then waiting for the third one to come out.
Right.
Carl,
Don't forget. Yeah,
thanks so
don't forget.
much.
Buy. Yes, you can get them on Amazon, or you can get autographed copies at cullythestoryteller.com.
You got it. All right, folks, write that down. Carl, thanks so much for joining us today, and just good luck the rest of the way. May all your teams win.
Thank you. You have a great day, Paul.
All right. And thank you, folks, for spending a few minutes with us on the Global Book Network. I'm Paul Ryden. We'll see you next time.